Kira stood in the center of the massive hall, feeling smaller than she had ever felt in her life. The ceiling stretched so high above her that she could barely see it. Around her, seated on platforms that floated in the air, were the representatives of the most powerful species in the galaxy. Their eyes, or whatever they used to see, were all focused on her. Her skin flickered between pale blue and gray. She could not control it. Fear did that to Valorians. Their emotions showed on their bodies like words written in light. "Please," she said, her voice trembling. "My people are dying. Our sun is collapsing. We have only months before our world becomes frozen and dead. We need help. We need a place to go." The Dralthan ambassador leaned forward. He was tall and covered in dark metallic scales. His species had conquered 12 star systems. They were warriors, and they looked down on everyone else. "How many of you are there?" he asked. 43,000, Kira answered. "And what can your people offer in return for sanctuary?" Kira's skin turned darker gray. This was the question she had been dreading. "We are scientists, artists, farmers. We have knowledge of bioluminescent technology. We can teach—" "Do you have weapons?" the Dralthan interrupted. "No, we have never needed—" "Do you have rare minerals? Strategic resources?" "Our world has basic elements, but nothing rare. We never—" "Then you have nothing we need." The Dralthan sat back, waving one clawed hand in dismissal. Kira turned to the other council members, desperate. "Please, we are living beings. We have families, children. We only ask for a chance to survive." The Nexari representative spoke next. Her voice was cold and mechanical. The Nexari had given up biological bodies centuries ago, uploading their minds into machines. They believed in pure logic. "Resources are limited in the galaxy," the Nexari said. "Every world that accepts refugees must sacrifice something. Food, space, energy. According to our calculations, your species offers insufficient value to justify the cost." "But we are people," Kira said, her voice breaking. "Doesn't that matter?" "Emotion is irrelevant," the Nexari replied. "Only data matters." The third major power, the Prixian Commonwealth, did not even bother to speak. Their representative simply shook his head. The Prixians hoarded every resource they found. They would never share with outsiders. Kira felt her hope dying. She had traveled for months, visiting world after world. Every species she met had turned her away. Some were polite about it, others were cruel. But the result was always the same. No one wanted the Valorians. "This council cannot help you," the Dralthan said finally. "Your request is denied. You may leave." Kira's skin turned completely black. In her species, black meant total despair. She bowed her head and turned to walk away. Her legs felt heavy. Behind her, the council members were already discussing other business. To them, she was already forgotten. As she walked through the station's corridors back to her small ship, Kira tried not to think about what she would tell her people. How could she explain that the galaxy had abandoned them? That in the eyes of advanced civilizations, Valorian lives simply did not matter? She was about to board her ship when she heard a voice. "Excuse me." Kira turned. A small, furry alien stood behind her. He had 6 legs and kind eyes. She recognized him as a Mikian, a species that ran information networks across the galaxy. "I heard your plea in the council," the Mikian said. "I am sorry for their decision." "Thank you," Kira said quietly. Her skin flickered with faint purple, the color of sadness mixed with gratitude. "I may have information that could help you," the Mikian continued. He looked around nervously as if afraid someone might hear. "There is a world in the outer regions, a species that recently joined the spacefaring community. Most advanced civilizations avoid them." "Why?" Kira asked. "They are considered primitive, emotional, chaotic. They make decisions based on feelings rather than logic. The major powers think they are dangerous because they cannot be predicted." Kira felt a tiny spark of hope. "What is this world called?" "Earth," the Mikian said. "And the species calls themselves humans. Will they help us?" The Mikian's whiskers twitched. "I cannot say. They are young, unpredictable. But I have heard stories. They do things that make no logical sense. They risk their lives to save strangers. They form emotional bonds with alien species. They value things that cannot be measured in data. He pulled out a small device and pressed it. A star map appeared in the air between them. These are the coordinates, he said. It is far from here, at least 3 weeks of travel, but it is your only option that I know of. Kira took the coordinates, storing them in her ship's computer. Why are you helping me? She asked. The Mikian's eyes softened. Because someone helped my species once when we had nothing to offer. I remember what it feels like to be rejected. Perhaps these humans will remember too. Kira boarded her ship and set the course for Earth. As the station disappeared behind her, she looked at the star map. Earth was far away, in a region of space that most travelers ignored. The humans had only achieved faster-than-light travel 15 years ago. They were babies compared to species like the Dralthan, who had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. But Kira had no other choice. For 3 weeks, she traveled through empty space. She spent the time learning everything she could about humans. The galactic databases had limited information. Most of it was reports from traders who had visited Earth and left confused. Humans waste resources on art and music, one report said. They keep animals in their homes as companions, even though the animals serve no productive purpose, said another. They cry over fictional stories. They create elaborate celebrations for events that have no strategic value. They are obsessed with something they call fairness, even when it costs them efficiency. Reading these reports, Kira felt her skin shift to orange, the color of curiosity mixed with hope. These humans sounded strange, illogical, but also kind. When her ship finally approached Earth's solar system, she was contacted immediately. Unknown vessel, this is Earth Defense Station. Please state your identity and purpose. Kira's hands shook as she activated the communication system. This was her last chance. If the humans rejected her, there was nowhere else to go. My name is Kira, she said. I am a Valorian. I come seeking help. My people are dying and we have nowhere else to turn. There was a long pause. Kira's skin flickered through every color: fear, hope, desperation. Then the voice came back. It sounded different now. Gentler. Kira, this is Earth Orbital Station Alpha. Please proceed to Docking Bay 7. We will send someone to meet you. And Kira? Welcome to Earth space. You are safe here. Kira's skin burst into golden light. She had not felt this color, the color of joy, in so long that she had almost forgotten what it felt like. She guided her ship toward the station, her heart pounding. She did not know what would happen next, but for the first time in months, she felt something she thought she had lost forever. She felt hope. Doyen checked his tablet one more time as he walked toward the docking bay. The message from Earth Defense had been brief but urgent. An alien refugee was requesting asylum. This was unusual. Most aliens who came to Earth wanted to trade or study humans like they were interesting animals in a zoo. But a request for help? That was new. He entered the docking bay and saw the small alien ship settling onto the landing pad. It was old and worn, with scorch marks along its hull. This ship had traveled far. Beside Doyen stood Dr. Sora, a xenobiologist who had been studying alien life forms for 10 years. She was excited, her eyes bright with curiosity. On his other side was Captain Taiho, a military officer whose job was to protect Earth from threats. His hand rested near his weapon, but his face was calm. Remember, Doyen said quietly, we are here to listen first. The ship's door opened with a hiss of steam. A ramp extended to the floor. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a figure appeared in the doorway. Doyen heard Sora gasp softly. The alien was beautiful. She stood about the same height as a human, with a slender body and delicate features. But her skin was extraordinary. It seemed to be made of crystal or glass, and it glowed from within. Colors moved across her skin like waves: purple, blue, gray, and hints of yellow. She walked down the ramp slowly, hesitantly. Her large eyes scanned the three humans. Doyen could see fear in those eyes. He stepped forward and bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. Welcome to Earth Orbital Station Alpha. My name is Doyen. I am a diplomatic representative of Earth's government. This is Dr. Sora, a scientist, and Captain Taiho, a security officer. We are here to help you. The alien's skin flickered. The colors seemed to brighten slightly. When she spoke, her voice was soft and musical. The translation device on Doyen's collar converted her words into Korean. My name is Kira. I am Valorian. I come seeking sanctuary for my people. Please, Doyen said, gesturing toward a doorway. Let us go somewhere more comfortable. You can tell us your story. They walked to a small meeting room. Kira moved carefully, as if she expected them to attack her at any moment. Doyen noticed that her skin kept changing colors. He wondered what it meant. Your skin, Sora said gently. The colors, do they mean something? Kira looked down at herself. Yes, Valorians cannot hide their emotions. Our skin shows what we feel. Right now, I am afraid. That is why you see blue and gray. You do not need to be afraid here, Doyen said. They sat around a table. Doyen poured water into cups and offered one to Kira. She stared at it for a moment, then took it. Her fingers trembled slightly. Tell us what happened, Doyen said. And so Kira told her story. She spoke of Valorum, her beautiful home planet with its crystal forests and singing rivers. She told them about the disaster, how their sun had become unstable, how scientists predicted it would collapse within months. She described the desperate evacuation plans, the search for a new home. Then her voice grew quieter as she talked about her journey through the galaxy. The rejections, the cold calculations, the way every species had looked at her people and decided they were not worth saving. The Galactic Council said we have nothing to offer, Kira said. Her skin had turned dark gray, almost black. No weapons, no resources, no strategic value. They said resources are limited and we are not worth the cost. Sora looked angry. They judge people by what they can take from them? That is how the galaxy works, Kira said. The strong survive. The weak are left to die. Taiho leaned back in his chair. How many Valorians need sanctuary? Kira's skin flickered nervously. 43,000. I know it is a large number. I know you probably cannot. We have room, Doyen interrupted gently. Kira stopped talking. She stared at him. What? I said we have room. Earth has 8 billion humans. But we have vast areas that are underpopulated. We have resources. We can accommodate 43,000 refugees. But Kira's skin was changing rapidly, colors swirling in confusion. But I have nothing to offer you. My people are scientists and artists and farmers. We have no weapons. We have no rare minerals. We cannot help you conquer other worlds. We cannot make you rich. Doyen smiled. We do not want those things. We want people who can live in peace, who can contribute to society in their own way. Scientists, artists, and farmers sound perfect. I do not understand, Kira whispered. Her skin was starting to show streaks of gold. Why would you help us? Sora reached across the table and gently touched Kira's hand. The Valorian's skin flashed bright yellow at the contact. Because it is the right thing to do, Sora said simply. Because you need help, and we can give it. That is enough reason. Kira's entire body erupted in golden light. Tears rolled down her face. Clear, crystalline tears that sparkled as they fell. I thought, she said, her voice breaking. I thought no one in the galaxy cared about people anymore. Only about what they could take. Earth is different, Doyen said. We have had our own dark times. Wars, disasters, refugees fleeing from danger. We learned that the measure of a civilization is not how strong it is, but how it treats those who need help. Taiho, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. I need to ask some practical questions. How soon do your people need to evacuate? Kira wiped her tears. Her skin was still glowing gold. But streaks of orange were appearing, hope mixed with urgency. We have perhaps 3 months before the sun becomes too dangerous. After that, our planet will be uninhabitable. That gives us time, Taiho said. We will need to prepare landing sites, temporary housing, food supplies. We will need to arrange transport ships. He looked at Doyen. We should contact Administrator Hyunwoo immediately. Doyen nodded and activated his communication device. Within minutes, Hyunwoo's face appeared on the screen. He was an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes. Doyen, Hyunwoo said, I heard we have a visitor. Yes, sir. This is Kira. She represents the Valorian species, which needs emergency asylum. 43,000 refugees. They have 3 months to evacuate their dying world. Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment, thinking. That is a significant number. We will need to coordinate with multiple governments, prepare settlement areas, arrange medical screening, cultural integration programs. Yes, sir, Doyen said. But it can be done? Hyunwoo looked at Kira through the screen. His expression softened. Yes, it can be done. We have faced challenges before. We will face this one too. He paused. Kira, on behalf of Earth's government, I officially offer your people sanctuary. You will be safe here. Kira's skin exploded with color. Gold, yellow, bright orange, even flashes of pink. She stood up and bowed deeply. Thank you, she said. Thank you. I cannot express what this means. My people will live because of your kindness. We are happy to help, Hyunwoo said. Doyen, bring Kira to Earth. Show her the areas we are considering for settlement. Let her see her new home. The screen went dark. Kira turned to the 3 humans, her skin still glowing with joy. I have traveled across the galaxy, she said softly. I have met dozens of species. Some were ancient and wise. Some were powerful beyond measure. But you humans, you young, emotional, illogical humans, you are the first ones to see us as people, not as resources or problems, just as people who need help. Doyen stood and extended his hand. That is what humans do best. We see the person first. Kira took his hand. Her skin was warm and smooth, and it pulsed with gentle light. Come, Doyen said. Let me show you Earth. Let me show you your new home. As they left the station and boarded a shuttle to the planet below, Kira looked out the window. Earth appeared in view, a beautiful blue and green sphere floating in space. Clouds swirled across its surface. Sunlight glinted off its oceans. For the first time in months, Kira allowed herself to truly believe it. Her people would survive. They had been rejected by the galaxy, but they had been welcomed by Earth. And somehow, that made all the difference. 6 months had passed since the Valorians arrived on Earth. Yuna stood on the hillside overlooking the settlement, watching the sun rise over the valley. Below her, the town was waking up. Smoke rose from chimneys. People moved through the streets. But these were not just human people anymore. Valorians walked alongside humans, their crystalline skin glowing softly in the morning light. Some were heading to the farms. Others were opening shops or walking children to school. The sight made Yuna smile. This was what she had worked for. As Earth's social coordinator for the Valorian settlement program, Yuna had spent months preparing for the refugees' arrival. She had helped choose settlement locations, organized housing, and created integration programs. But the hardest and most important work was helping 2 different species learn to live together. Good morning, Yuna, a musical voice said behind her. Yuna turned to see Kira approaching. The Valorian woman had become a friend over the past months. Her skin glowed with peaceful purple and blue colors. Good morning, Kira. You are up early. I could not sleep, Kira said. I still cannot believe this is real sometimes. That we are safe. That we have a home. It is real, Yuna said gently. And it is working. Look at the town. Humans and Valorians living together. They walked down the hill together toward the settlement. The town had been built specifically for integration. Human and Valorian families lived side by side. Shops and businesses served both species. The architecture combined human and Valorian styles. Practical human buildings decorated with bioluminescent Valorian crystals that provided natural light. Their first stop was the school. Nari, a young teacher from Seoul, had volunteered to run the integration program for children. When Yuna and Kira entered the classroom, they found organized chaos. 20 children sat in a circle on the floor, 10 human, 10 Valorian. They were playing a game that seemed to involve passing a ball while singing. The Valorian children's skin flickered with bright, happy colors. The human children were laughing. Nari saw them and walked over. "Good morning. We are practicing sharing songs from both cultures. The children love it." A small human girl ran up to them. "Miss Yuna, look what Lyra taught me." She held up her hands, and between her fingers she held a small crystal that glowed faintly. "Valorian crystals glow when you are happy. Lyra gave me one." A young Valorian child, Lyra, stood nearby. Her skin was bright yellow with joy. "And Maya taught me how to draw. Look!" She held up a paper covered in colorful crayon marks. Yuna felt her heart warm. The children had adapted so quickly. They did not see differences as problems. They saw them as interesting and wonderful. But not everyone was so accepting. After leaving the school, Yuna had to attend a town meeting. These meetings were held weekly to address problems and concerns. Today, there was tension in the air. A human farmer named Gyeong stood up, his face red with anger. "I am not against the Valorians," he said, though his tone suggested otherwise. "But we need to talk about resources. The water usage has increased by 30%. Our reserves are being strained." A Valorian elder named Thelis stood, his skin flickering with orange nervousness. "We have tried to be careful. We are using less water than we did on our homeworld." "Maybe that is the problem," another human muttered. "Too many new people too fast." Yuna stood up. "The water situation is real, but it is not because of the Valorians specifically. Our entire region is experiencing drought. We are working with engineers to build better irrigation systems. Both human and Valorian engineers are collaborating on solutions." "Collaboration is good for speeches," Yong said, "but my crops are dying now." Before Yuna could respond, someone else stood up. It was Jae-hoon, a farmer from Jeju Island. He was one of the first humans to fully embrace integration. "Gyeong, you are being unfair," Jae-hoon said. "I work with a Valorian named Milor on my farm. He taught me growing techniques that use half the water and produce better crops. Instead of complaining, maybe you should learn from them." "I do not need aliens telling me how to farm," Gyeong shot back. Ji-hoon's face hardened. "That is your problem right there. You see aliens. I see neighbors. Melor is my friend. His knowledge saved my farm during the drought." The room fell silent. Then an older woman stood up. "Ji-hoon is right. My daughter was sick last month. The human doctors could not figure out what was wrong. A Valorian healer noticed something in her blood tests that our doctors missed. She is fine now because of that Valorian. They are not taking from us. They are giving." One by one, other humans stood and shared stories. A Valorian who had repaired a broken water pump using bioluminescent technology. A Valorian artist who was teaching human children painting techniques. A Valorian scientist who was helping develop sustainable energy systems. Gyeong sat down, looking less certain now. The meeting ended with an agreement to work together on the water problem. Both humans and Valorians would contribute ideas and labor. After the meeting, Ji-hoon introduced Yuna to Milor. The Valorian farmer was tall and thin, with skin that glowed soft green, the color of contentment. "Ji-hoon has been very kind," Milor said. "He treated me like a person from the first day. Not everyone did." "I know," Yuna said. "Change is hard for some people." "It is hard for us too," Milor admitted. "Earth is so different from Valorum. The plants grow differently. The seasons change in ways we never experienced. The food tastes strange. Sometimes I miss home so much that my skin turns gray for days." "But you are adapting," Ji-hoon said, clapping Milor on the shoulder. "And you are teaching me things I never knew. That makes us both better farmers." Yuna spent the afternoon visiting various parts of the settlement. She saw Valorians working in human businesses and humans learning Valorian crafts. She saw mixed groups eating lunch together, sharing food from both cultures. She heard laughter and saw friendships forming. But she also saw the challenges. Some humans still kept their distance. Some Valorians stayed in their own groups, afraid to integrate fully. There were misunderstandings and miscommunications, cultural differences that created friction. In the evening, Una met with Kira at a small cafe run by a human-Valorian partnership. They drank tea and talked about the day. "It is not perfect," Kira said, "but it is so much more than I ever hoped for." "It will get better," Una said. "The children are leading the way. They do not have the old fears and prejudices. They just see friends." Kira's skin glowed with deep purple, the color of profound gratitude. "On Valorum, we have a saying, 'True wealth is measured in kindness received.' By that measure, Earth has made my people the richest in the galaxy." "We have a saying too," Una said. "We are stronger together than apart. Your people bring knowledge and skills we did not have. You bring new perspectives and ideas. That makes all of us richer." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching through the window as the town settled into evening. Bioluminescent Valorian crystals began to glow brighter as the sunlight faded, providing soft, beautiful light throughout the streets. It was a perfect blend of human and Valorian technology. A group of children ran past the window, playing some kind of tag game. Human and Valorian children together, laughing and shouting. One human boy was holding the hand of a Valorian girl, pulling her along as they ran. "Look at them," Kira said softly. "They do not see species. They just see friends." "That is the future," Una said. "That is what we are building." Later that night, Una returned to her small apartment. She sat at her desk and wrote her weekly report to Administrator Hyunwoo. She detailed the challenges, the water shortage, the cultural tensions, the adjustment difficulties. But she also wrote about the successes, the friendships forming, the collaboration happening, the children playing together. She ended her report with a simple observation. "Integration is not easy. It requires patience, understanding, and work from everyone involved. But it is happening. Day by day, humans and Valorians are becoming not just neighbors but a community. The galaxy rejected the Valorians because they could not see their value. Earth welcomed them because we see people first. And that decision is making both species better." As she sent the report, Una looked out her window. The settlement glowed softly in the darkness, lit by a combination of human electric lights and Valorian bioluminescence. It was beautiful. It was peaceful. It was home. For 43,000 Valorians who had thought they would die. For humans who had chosen compassion over calculation. For a future where different did not mean enemy. It was just the beginning. 3 years had passed since the Valorians came to Earth. Doyen sat in his office at Earth's diplomatic headquarters, reviewing reports from the integration zones. The news was good. Valorian human settlements were thriving. The collaboration had led to breakthroughs in sustainable technology, agriculture, and medicine. Both species had benefited. Doyen had been promoted to Chief Diplomatic Officer of Earth. He spent his days managing relationships with various alien species and coordinating Earth's growing reputation as a place of sanctuary. More refugees had come after the Valorians, small groups from different species, all rejected by the major galactic powers. His assistant knocked on the door. "Sir, we have received a priority transmission from the Dralthan Empire. Ambassador Thex wishes to speak with you." Doyen felt his stomach tighten. The Dralthans. The same species that had looked at Kira with contempt 3 years ago. The same ambassador who had called the Valorians worthless. "Put him through," Doyen said. The screen activated. Ambassador Thex appeared. Doyen had seen images of Dralthans before, but seeing one directly was different. Thex was massive, covered in dark metallic scales. His eyes were cold and predatory. This was a species built for war. But something was wrong. Thex's scales looked dull. His posture seemed less confident. "Earth diplomat," Thex said, his voice rough. "I am Ambassador Thex of the Dralthan Empire. I request a private conference." "I am Doyen, Chief Diplomatic Officer. What can Earth do for the Dralthan Empire? Thex was silent for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter. The Empire requires assistance. Our mining colonies in the Corvin system have collapsed. Geological instability. 15,000 Dralthans are without shelter. We need temporary sanctuary while we rebuild. Doyen kept his face neutral. You are requesting asylum? Temporary asylum, Thex corrected quickly. Only until our infrastructure is repaired. I see. And have you approached the Galactic Council about this? Thex's scales seemed to darken. The Council has determined that allocating resources to temporary housing is not cost-effective. They suggested we leave our people on the failing colonies until permanent solutions are found. They calculated that your people are not worth the cost? Doyen said quietly. Thex understood the implication. His people had said the same thing to Kira. Now it was being said to them. Things are different when it affects one's own people, Thex admitted, his voice bitter. Yes, Doyen said. They are. Let me consult with Earth's government. I will contact you within 24 hours. He ended the transmission and immediately called an emergency meeting. Within an hour, he sat in a conference room with Administrator Hyunwoo, Captain Taiho, and several other key officials. Kira was also there. She had become an official advisor to Earth's government on alien relations. They have nerve, Taiho said, his voice angry. They rejected the Valorians with contempt. Now they come begging for help? Exactly, another official said. We should reject them just like they rejected others. Let them feel what it is like. Kira sat quietly, her skin flickering with dark red, the color of anger and old pain. Hyunwoo looked at her. Kira, you have more right than anyone to speak on this. What do you think? Kira was silent for a long moment. Her skin shifted through multiple colors, red, gray, black. Finally, she spoke. When Thex rejected my people, I thought I would die from despair. I hated him. I hated all of them for their cruelty. Her skin flashed dark crimson. Part of me still does. Part of me wants to see them suffer like we suffered. But, Doyen prompted gently. But Earth taught me something, Kira said. Her skin began to lighten. You did not help us because we deserved it. You did not help us because we could pay you back. You helped us because it was right, because we needed help. She looked around the table. If you reject the Dralthans now, you become like them. You make decisions based on revenge instead of on principle. She is right, Sunho said. He was a human rights advocate who had fought hard for Valorian integration. We cannot base our values on how others treat us. We must base them on who we want to be. But we can set conditions, Doyen said. The Dralthans believe might makes right. They look down on compassion as weakness. If we help them, they need to learn why compassion is actually strength. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. What do you propose? We accept them, Doyen said. But we require something in return, not payment, not resources. We require them to participate in our integration programs. They must work alongside Valorians. They must learn what it means to be part of a community instead of conquerors. The room debated for hours. Some wanted to reject the Dralthans outright. Others wanted to help without conditions. Finally, they voted. The decision was to accept the Dralthan refugees with specific requirements for integration and cultural education. Doyen contacted Thex the next day. Earth will provide sanctuary for your 15,000 refugees, he said. Thex's expression showed surprise and relief. We accept. What payment do you require? No payment. But we have conditions. Your people will be housed in integrated communities alongside Valorians and humans. They will participate in our cultural exchange programs. They will work in collaborative projects with both species. They will learn what it means to be part of a diverse community. Thex's scales darkened. You want us to live with the Valorians? To work with them? Yes. That is our condition. You rejected them when they needed help. Now you will learn to see them as equals, as people. If you cannot accept this, then we cannot help you. Thex was silent for a long time. Doyen could see the conflict in his face. Pride against necessity. Finally, Thex spoke. We accept your conditions. 2 weeks later, the Dralthan ships arrived. Doyen, Kira, and Yuna went to the main settlement area to oversee the arrival. Taiho was there too, with security forces. Nobody was sure how this would go. The Dralthans emerged from their ships looking uncomfortable and angry. They were large and intimidating. Their scales gleamed in the sunlight. They moved with military precision, but their eyes showed confusion and resentment. Thex was among them. He saw Kira and stopped. For a moment, the two stared at each other. The Dralthan who had rejected her. The Valorian he had condemned. Kira's skin flickered with red and black, but then it shifted to orange and yellow. She walked forward. Ambassador Thex, she said. Welcome to Earth. Thex looked stunned. You welcome me? After what I did? I welcome you because this is what Earth taught me, Kira said. Everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves to be seen as a person, not as a problem or an enemy. Thex had no response. He simply bowed his head slightly. The integration began slowly. The Dralthans were placed in housing within existing communities. They were assigned to work teams with humans and Valorians. At first, there was terrible tension. The Dralthans were used to hierarchy and dominance. They did not know how to work as equals. They looked down on physical labor. They sneered at the Valorians. But Earth's integration programs were thorough. Dralthans were paired with experienced human and Valorian mentors. They were required to attend daily cultural exchange sessions. They worked on community projects. A Dralthan named Koros was paired with Milor, the Valorian farmer. On their first day working together, Koros refused to take instructions from Milor. I am a warrior, Koros said. Not a farmer. And I do not take orders from prey species. Jihoon, who was supervising, stepped forward. Then you do not eat. Simple as that. Everyone here works. Everyone contributes. Your choice. Koros went hungry that first day, but the next morning he showed up at the farm again. Melor taught him how to plant seeds. Koros was clumsy and frustrated, but Melor was patient. Why do you help me? Koros asked. My people rejected yours. Because you need help, Melor said simply, and because I remember what it feels like to be lost and afraid. Slowly, over weeks and months, things began to change. The Dralthans started to see the Valorians not as weak prey, but as skilled people with valuable knowledge. They saw humans not as primitive, but as wise in ways the Dralthans had never considered. Koros and Milor became, if not friends, then respectful colleagues. Koros learned farming. He learned patience. He learned that strength was not just about physical power. Thex himself was assigned to work with Kira on diplomatic projects. The irony was not lost on either of them. They met weekly to discuss integration progress. I was wrong, Thex said one day, months into the program. His voice was quiet. About your people, about strength and weakness. I thought compassion was weakness, but I see now that it takes more strength to help an enemy than to destroy them. Kira's skin glowed with soft purple. Thank you for saying that. Your people could have rejected us, Thex continued. You had every right, but you chose mercy. That is true strength. By the end of the first year, the Dralthan refugees had been fully integrated. Many chose to stay on Earth permanently, even though their colonies had been rebuilt. They had found something on Earth that their empire had never given them: community, purpose, and peace. Doyen watched it all unfold with quiet satisfaction. Earth had passed a crucial test. They had not let revenge guide them. They had stayed true to their principles even when it was difficult. And in doing so, they had transformed their former enemies into allies. 5 years after Kira first arrived at Earth, the planet had become something unprecedented in the galaxy. Hana stood at the podium in the newly built Global Unity Hall, looking out at the faces before her. There were 47 different species represented in the audience. Some sat on chairs. Some floated in suspension fields. Some required special atmospheric containers. But they were all here for the same reason. At 29 years old, Hana was Earth's youngest ambassador. She had grown up during the integration years, watching her world transform. She had gone to school with Valorian children. She had learned about different cultures and species. Now she stood before the first intergalactic humanitarian summit, about to make history. Representatives of the galaxy, Hana began, her voice steady. Thank you for coming to Earth. 5 years ago, we were an isolated species, barely noticed by the greater galactic community. Today, we host refugees and citizens from dozens of worlds. This transformation did not happen by accident. It happened because we made a choice. She gestured to Kira, who sat in the front row. The Valorian's skin glowed with peaceful blue and purple. When Kira came to Earth, she had been rejected by every major power in the galaxy. The Galactic Council told her that her people had no value, that they were not worth saving. But Earth disagreed. We saw people who needed help. That was enough. In the audience, Ambassador Thex sat beside several other Dralthan representatives. His scales were brighter now, healthier. He had changed significantly over the past years. Then came the Dralthans, Hana continued. The very species that had rejected the Valorians. They came asking for help. Some wanted us to turn them away, to let them feel the same rejection they had inflicted on others. But again, Earth made a choice. We chose compassion over revenge. She paused, looking around the hall. And since then, we have welcomed 42 more species. Some came as refugees. Some came because they were curious. Some came because they heard that Earth was different. And we are. We are different because we believe that every conscious being has value, not because of what they can offer us, but because they are alive. The audience was completely silent. Hana could see various reactions. Some species looked skeptical, others looked hopeful. A few looked ashamed. Today, we propose something new. The Earth Sanctuary Accord. Any species facing genuine crisis, natural disaster, war, famine, or persecution can petition Earth for asylum. In return, they join our community. They contribute their knowledge, their skills, their culture. Not as payment, but as participation in something larger than any one species. She activated a holographic display showing statistics. Population growth, economic development, technological breakthroughs, cultural achievements. Some said that accepting refugees would drain our resources. The data shows the opposite. Our economy has grown by 40%. Our technological advancement has accelerated. Our culture has become richer and more diverse. We have not been weakened by compassion. We have been strengthened. A Nexari representative stood. Its mechanical voice echoed through the hall. This is illogical. Your calculations cannot account for the unpredictability of so many species. The potential for conflict. Yuna, who sat among the Earth delegation, stood to respond. Conflict exists. We do not pretend otherwise. But we have learned that diversity, when managed with respect and understanding, creates resilience. We solve problems by bringing together different perspectives. Another species representative, a Prixian, spoke up. You claim your economy has grown. But at what cost? How much have you spent on integration programs? Minho, Earth's chief of defense, stood. He was an imposing figure, but his voice was calm. We have spent considerable resources on integration, education, housing, cultural programs. But these are not costs. They are investments. Every species we have welcomed has contributed something valuable. The Valorians gave us bioluminescent technology. The Dralthans shared metallurgical advances. The Sakari taught us new agricultural methods. We are not charity providers. We are community builders. The summit continued for 3 days. Representatives debated. They asked questions. They challenged assumptions. Some remained skeptical, but many were genuinely interested. On the second day, Kira gave her speech. She stood at the podium, her skin glowing with determination. I speak to those species who have been rejected, she said, those who have been told they are worthless, those who have been calculated and found insufficient. I was you. I stood before the Galactic Council and begged for my people's lives. They said no. Her skin flickered with dark colors as she remembered. Earth said yes, not because we could pay them, not because we had weapons or resources. They said yes because we needed help, and they could give it. That is all. That simple truth changed everything for my people. She looked directly at the Nexari representative. You speak of logic and calculations. But you calculate the wrong things. You calculate immediate costs and immediate benefits. Earth calculates differently. They understand that helping others creates bonds. Those bonds create cooperation. Cooperation creates prosperity. It is not illogical. It is a different kind of logic. After the summit, Doyen hosted a smaller gathering at his home. It was a tradition he had started. Informal dinners where species could interact without formal protocols. His house was full of people from different worlds. Kira stood in the garden with Thex. The Dralthan and the Valorian had formed an unlikely friendship over the years. I never thought I would call a Dralthan my friend, Kira said, her skin showing amused orange. I never thought I would want friendship with a Valorian, Thex replied. His voice had lost much of its harsh edge. But Earth changes people. It changed me. How? Kira asked. Thex thought for a moment. On my homeworld, we measure success by conquest, by dominance. The strong survive, and the weak are eliminated. That is the Dralthan way. Or it was my way. He paused. But here, I learned that strength can mean different things. It takes strength to show mercy. It takes strength to build instead of destroy. It takes strength to help someone who cannot help you back. Nearby, Jihoon and Milor were teaching a group of newly arrived refugees about earth farming techniques. The new refugees were Taloxians, a species with 6 limbs and compound eyes. They watched carefully as Milor demonstrated planting methods. You see, Melor was saying, the key is to understand what each plant needs. Not to force them to grow, but to create conditions where they want to grow. Like people, Jihoon added. Integration works the same way. You create the right conditions, and people will thrive. Inside the house, Nari sat with a group of children from 5 different species. They were drawing pictures together. A human child was teaching a Valorian child how to use crayons. A Dralthan child was showing a Taloxian child how to make origami. They laughed and played, completely unbothered by their differences. Hana watched the children and smiled. That is the future, she said to Yuna, who stood beside her. It is the present too, Yuna replied. Those children do not remember a time before integration. To them, this is normal. Having friends from different species is just how life is. Later that evening, Doyen stood to make a toast. Everyone gathered, holding glasses filled with various drinks suitable to their biology. 5 years ago, Doyen said, Earth made a choice. We chose to help someone who needed it. That one choice has led to this. A house full of friends from across the galaxy. A planet transformed into a beacon of hope. A future we are building together. He raised his glass. To Kira, who trusted us when she had no reason to. To every species represented here, who has brought their gifts and their stories to Earth. And to the principle that binds us, that every life has value, and compassion is not weakness, but the greatest strength of all. To Earth, someone called out. To community, another voice added. To the future, Kira said, her skin glowing brilliant gold. They drank together, species that had been strangers or even enemies, now united by something simple yet profound. The understanding that they were all people, all valuable, all worthy of dignity and respect. Later that night, after the guests had left, Doyen stood outside looking up at the stars. Captain Teho joined him. Do you think the accord will work? Teho asked. It already is working, Doyen said. 47 species attended the summit. 23 have expressed interest in joining. That is 23 species that might have been rejected elsewhere, but will find welcome here. The galaxy will never be the same, Teho observed. No, Doyen agreed. Neither will we. We started as one species, alone on our planet. Now we are part of something larger. A true community of different peoples working together. Do you think the major powers, the Dralthan Empire, the Nexari Collective, will ever change? Doyen smiled. They are already changing. Did you see Thex today? 5 years ago, he called the Valorians worthless. Today, he called Kira his friend. Change happens one person at a time, one choice at a time. He looked up at the stars again. Somewhere out there were species still suffering, still being rejected, still being told they had no value. But now they had somewhere to go. A world that would see them not as problems or resources, but as people. A world that understood that the measure of civilization was not power or technology, but compassion and community. Earth had been rejected by no one because Earth had never sought approval. Earth had simply done what it thought was right. And in doing so, it had become something the galaxy had never seen before. A true sanctuary. A place where being alive was enough. Where differences were celebrated, not feared. Where every person, regardless of species, could find belonging. In her small apartment, Kira stood at the window looking at the same stars. Her skin glowed with deep violet, the Valorian color of profound gratitude and peace. She thought about her journey, from desperate refugee to honored citizen, from rejected outcast to valued friend. The galaxy had told her she was worthless. Earth had told her she was priceless. And in the end, Earth had been right. Because every life is priceless. Every person matters. Every species has something unique to offer. That was the truth the galaxy had forgotten. That was the truth Earth remembered. And that truth was changing everything.